Your ears do not deceive you. You have just entered the Cryptid Creator Corner brought to you by your friends at Comic Book Yeti. So without further ado, let's get on to the interview.
Hello, and welcome to Comic Book Yeti's Cryptid Creator Corner. I am one of your hosts, Jimmy Gasparo, and this is great because I have two guests tonight, and one was we just recorded an episode last week, and he's back. So that's very exciting.
Yeah.
But we're going to be talking about a new comic from Ignition Press. I think this is the first Ignition Press book that I've covered. I'm very excited because I've been really curious about a lot of stuff that Ignition Press has been putting out recently. I've picked up some stuff, but I haven't covered any of it yet on the podcast. And we're going to be talking about The Other Half. And yeah, please welcome to the podcast, Jim McCann and Joe Eisma. Joe, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great, thanks. Thanks for having us.
Yep, doing great.
No, I was really have been wanting to cover some of the Ignition Press stuff and just kind of hadn't gotten anything together yet. And I think I first saw Joe post about on social media about The Other Half, and Joe knows I'm a big fan of his work. And it sounded interesting. It sounded like I like the idea of a mystery. I'm a big fan of the films like The Maltese Falcon and anything in that kind of vein. Dashiell Hammett, Sam Spade, Nick and Nora Charles, The Thin Man. Like I always kind of loved that stuff. Like I was the kid who was like, I watched all the stuff that was on when I was a kid too, but I also had a love of some of those older films that stayed with me. And then once I got older and once Netflix was a thing, I think I went through like all of them. They got, delivered to my house when Netflix did that. And I watched as many of them that Netflix had. I remember it was a big day when Netflix finally got Double Indemnity. Because
yeah.
I hadn't seen that yet. But in any event,
Great film.
but this is but this is less, film noir, and it really is kind of like it reminded me of like Nick and Nora Charles with your main characters Ethan and Henry, or I remember the TV show from the 80s that I also loved. What was it? Heart to Heart.
Yeah.
And their golden retriever Freeway. I have a golden retriever named Barry, so I always think of that.
Nice.
So in any event, this is Ethan and Henry. They are kind of like a mismatched couple a little bit. One's from high society. Henry is a private eye, and they're married, and they are charged with protecting a diamond, a very large, probably a very expensive diamond. But that's kind of a bit of the setup. I loved it. I don't think there's a book like this like on the market. There's nothing that I can think of like a quick, easy parallel for a comic right now. Um, uh, Listeners, if you think there is something, let me know. But I just had a really good time with this. Like that was what I liked about it. I just really had a great time reading it, and I just kind of want to see where it goes. And I really loved Henry and Ethan. They were a really cute couple. Like I have no other way to describe it. And isn't it sometimes just nice to read like a mystery about this cute couple, and they're trying to figure out their life, and they have this thing to solve that they've now gotten themselves involved in. In any event, I've now rambled on for like 4 minutes and haven't let either of you a chance to talk. So Jim, why don't you start us off with The Other Half? Kind of what was your inspiration, and is there anything else you want listeners to know about this story?
Well, the inspiration is something you've already mentioned, which is the Thin Man films, Nick and Nora Charles. The original title of the pitch was The Thin Men, actually. So, but we workshopped it, thought that was a little too on the nose, so we worked it out to The Other Half, and it really worked out because it's not just, how your other half lives, but how the other half of society lives, especially as they switch places in society at the end of the first issue. Spoiler. Um, but yeah, I just really I love those films. I love I love classic film, um, and I really, really wanted to do something that was like a send up to that, had that feel, or how I could express that love and how that inspiration, has shaped a lot of my writing. And I also really wanted to do a gay lead comic because, as a proud out member of the community, I felt that there was a need for representation. And so this is probably one of my most authentic books. And I had sent in 3 pitches to Ignition when they first asked me to, and I thought this was not going to be picked, but boom, they jumped right on it, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I just, I rewatched a lot of my favorite films, listened to stuff with commentaries. I mean, I really immersed myself. I watched Casablanca, I watched Rear Window, The Philadelphia Story, It Happened One Night, My Man Godfrey, to say it's the best homework I've ever had in my life is an understatement. I now I wanna teach a classic film class, um, uh, or how to make comics in a classic film way. Um,
Oh, that's a great idea for a
Like that.
class,
Yeah.
to kinda take the traditional principles of screenwriting with some of those classic films and then teach, how would you adapt this? How would you write a comic script as opposed to a screenplay with some of, with to give it that same type of feel. I
Yeah.
love that. I also like there was a little Rear Window reference in, early in the comic, and I see behind you, I think that
Mhm.
is I don't know if that says, yeah, Rear
yeah,
Window.
yep, there's a Rear
Um,
Window poster, there's a Thin
wanna
Man poster right there,
yeah,
so
yeah. I love that right away. That's how I knew, um, I was gonna like it. And and I and also it's just wild to think about because when the Thin Man, when those like films were made, like Nick and Nora Charles, it's like there's certain things about those characters, like drinking martinis, and that we don't see in characters nowadays. Really, I mean, I when yeah yeah. When Ethan gets in the car and he has a coffee for Henry and he pours himself like an espresso martini first thing in the morning. I was like, "Okay, I
as
can hang with
as
those.
you
I can
do.
hang with these guys."
I mean, who hasn't?
Yeah, I instantly kind of a little bit enamored with the 2 of them, which helps because, like, when you get into the story and you get into the mystery of it, but yeah, really love the 2 of them. Joe, how about you in terms of, like, any particular inspiration for the character designs, for the look of, Ethan and Henry?
I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but but
Okay, well, don't get
well,
in trouble, Joe.
yeah, I'm not gonna try and get in trouble. I mean,
First
you know,
issue's out, I think you can say whatever.
oh, okay, okay. Well, I mean, I liked all the same films that Jim mentioned, and I totally got the vibe as soon as the pitch came across my desk. I was like, I can totally jam with this. I love that kind of style of filmmaking. And then, like, in terms of the characters, like, you know, uh, Jim had them pretty, like the way he described them. I mean, like, I was like, I could see them almost instantaneously. And he sent me some reference from our issue 1 variant cover artist, Ego Rodriguez, and is like, kind of, here's some ideas. You don't have to copy this, but here's some ideas. And so that kind of helps, you know, get the wheels turning. And then, Henry is also a little bit Pedro Pascal, maybe ish, a little kind of, peppered in there. Um, and yeah, so I mean, it's just, I wanted them to, I don't want, them to be like caricatures or anything like silly because like I want them to serve the story. So like my whole approach with the character design was, you know, take, Jim's ideas and his influences and try and meet him there. And that's what I wanted to do. So,
And you
Yeah, I mean,
kicked ass at it.
yeah, he absolutely did kick ass at it. I love the look of the characters. And so Joe, when you were on with Rafer, when we were talking,
Yeah.
uh, when we were talking about Babylon Cove and
Mhm.
talking about like party settings or party scenes, because I have no idea now what order these episodes are going to come out. So listeners, you might have heard that or you might not. But there's a part in Babylon Cove where there's like several funerals, and
Mhm.
you have to draw that, and
Yeah.
we were talking about that a little bit. Then this has that great 2-page spread, which is like at a fancy party, 5 panels, and I was just like, oh man, like what did Joe think about having to
Oh.
do all of this? And so I wanted to know about that layout in particular, and because I am, famously not an artist at all. Um, is it does it matter in terms of what the characters like are wearing? Like, is it more difficult to draw characters in formal wear than other clothes, or it just doesn't matter?
No way. A tuxedo, like you just like black. I don't have to draw a
Okay,
lot of details,
so formal wear is easier.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well,
For
Okay.
men, at least.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, if we're talking about like a bunch of ballroom dresses, then I might be like, oh gosh. But yeah, the layout. Jim does this every issue. He always challenges me with a double page spread, and I love it. He always tries to get creative with it and like want me to do something different than just your standard double page spread of like whatever a fight scene or something. And I really appreciate it. I think it's fun. And so he had this idea of them arriving at this party, and then over the course of it, they would, end up, sort of like it sort of ends at a point where they're getting to somewhere, and it sort of ends on a cliffhanger, or begets a cliffhanger. But um, in the whole process, there's a lot of characterization that's happening, a lot of interaction, a lot of personality that's coming out between the two characters, behaviors. Henry's uncomfortable, Ethan is like in his element, and then Jim was like, but be sure to have some other stuff going on too. So it's not just like stat crowd scenes, because that's so boring. I mean, if it's just everybody staying the same. So you want to have movement kind of in the scene. So like, he let me just kind of, do my own thing. And it was fun. And like my favorite, and we always mention this, is like there's a couple that gets into a fight in our argument,
Yeah,
and
I
they
was just
storm
gonna
off.
say
Yeah.
the the look on his face, the gentleman of the couple,
Yeah.
when he storms off, I
Yeah.
thought was great. Like, he just has this face of like a child who has just been
Mhm.
told
Oh
no,
yeah.
and he's storming off. But that was like the fun of it, because we
Yeah.
get to see them go from the top left,
Mhm.
down to the bottom right through the
Yep.
panels as they like kind of progress through the party. So we get a nice progression there, and we do get character moments from them as we see Ethan seeing folks that he knows from
Mhm. Yeah.
his background, and that we also get to see how Henry kind of is reacting to that, and what Henry does. But yeah,
Yeah.
you couldn't just draw stock figures. Like it's also at a certain like depth level
Mhm.
where they need to be unique people at the party.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So
but tremendous job. I really loved
Oh,
it. I
yeah.
I thought it was great.
thank you. I appreciate
I
it. It's
Yeah.
think
one of
you
my
really
favorite things I've
nailed
ever
it.
drawn.
Yay. I think you really nailed it. I was nervous when I put it in, but I was like, no, Joe can handle this. And speaking of Rear Window there, that's the Thin Man and Rear Window. I think in the script I said, how in Rear Window,
Yep.
when Jimmy Stewart looks out on his neighbors, um, each neighbor, like Miss Lonely Heart, the composer, everybody has like a 3-act arc
Yep.
for them. And I was like, let's do that with here with the guests. And Joe brought that to life big time. And then it's very much inspired by the second Thin Man film, where Nick and Nora arrive home, and there's a big homecoming party being thrown for them, but nobody recognizes Nick and Nora. So
Mhm.
they have to dance their way through this big crowd just to get to a place where they can like get away. And they don't know anybody there. So I was like, that would be so much fun to do like somebody moving through. And I don't know that I've ever really seen somebody going through like a huge crowd like that and just, showing it in these widescreen panels across a 2-page spread. And I was like, that would be so much fun to do and very classic feeling too. He really sold the cinematic of it as well.
Oh,
I'm so happy.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorite spreads too.
it is great, and you're right. Like, you see a double page spread, and it's usually like the whole thing, but it's rare to see um something that goes across 2 pages, like that with basically 5 really wide panels, and to have the characters like move through it in that way, like because I would think that if I'm like, all right, I have this big party scene, I want to show the characters like moving through the party, like you could just do it in small, panels, just show them in here, there, and just kind of through the dialogue or through something else, they're kind of like working their way around the room. But to really even though Joe's now drawing all these people, but to allow the characters to move through that space, it does almost feel like you're watching something, like in widescreen,
yeah.
as they go through the party. And I thought it was pretty neat, and I really liked it, and I thought Joe crushed it.
Oh, thank
Oh
you.
yeah. We're really lucky because this first issue is a bonus sized issue. We got like I think 8 extra pages on this for the same price as a regular sized issue. And
Mhm.
so we were kind of able to just go free with everything. And, you know, there are a couple splashes in there, that 2-page spread, and then just really take our time in introducing all the characters because everybody that's in the series you meet in that first issue. Um, and, take the time to set up the mystery and just also, like I said, really spend time with the characters, kind of get settled in
Mhm.
with them so that we can hit the ground running with issue 2. So it was very much a first act in
I
one
also
issue.
like, yeah, yeah, I also like how comics, like film, the two mediums as the years have gone on have a tendency to mirror each other in terms of faster cuts, more action, bigger, louder. Comics do the same thing. I mean, um, and I really like how I felt like this kind of had the space to breathe a little bit, like, um, and I didn't feel like putting any. I didn't feel like anything was like fluff or like filler. Like I really felt
Thank
it
you.
was to create that type of atmosphere. Because right after that scene with where they kind of go through the party, there's like a little bit more stuff, that happens and that goes on. But like, um, I really liked how big and open it was and the angle that was chosen for when you introduce Victoria, the person whose party it is. With the classic at the top of the stairs looking out over the crowd. We see Ethan and Henry. Like I really thought that was really, well done, and I thought it was again, something that you could show her entering a million different ways, but I really felt it was such a great use of the space, um, and kind of allowing that moment to land, like having all the people look up at her and her being on that staircase. I just thought it really it felt a little bit like this is out of time almost,
She's got to
Joe,
make a grand entrance.
of course, a lady like her has to
Yeah.
make a grand
Yeah.
entrance.
Yeah.
I had pictured it one way, and then Joe's angle. Now I can't picture it any other way. Like when I was writing, I was like, okay, it's gonna be this, but it is a grand entrance. I mean, I know I put that in the script, but I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's always like this one shot of the person coming straight down the stairs and everybody lined
Yeah.
up on either side. But Joe gave her this amazing, like, curved staircase so that you see all of her and everybody's looking up. So you see everybody's reaction at the same time. I mean, and everybody has different reactions. I'll say that throughout this whole thing, Joe does a masterclass of expressions. Like every page we get, the editorial team and myself are just like, oh, so perfect.
It's my favorite thing to draw.
Yeah,
Her facial expression. So yeah.
well, there's some great ones. I mean, I really love the characters. That's like one of the things, like some things I love because of plot or I love because of like a certain look. I love these characters. And even though everyone comes across very nice and sweet for the most part, like I because of it's a mystery, I get to the end and then I read it again a second time and I'm like, okay, who's lying? Is there a liar here? Is it who is it? I really loved Mrs. Jameson. Like I just love how sweet she was, and
And that's
I
his favorite character, I think.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite character. I've never gotten to draw like an elderly character like that, and when Jim kind of described her, I was like, okay, this is I've never done this. We'll see how this goes. And I was doing the designs, and like I was like, wow, I'm really enjoying this. Like, because like my mom is like she's like 84, and so like a lot of Anne's kind of mannerisms and the way she kind of holds herself, like that's kind of my mom, honestly. Like I think of it, I'm like, so I'm they say draw what you know, right? So right, so like
yeah.
my mom is kind of like my unwilling model there.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's one panel after she's introduced, and they're still at the party. They haven't gone to the museum yet, and she instantly takes a liking to like Henry and Ethan, and there's like one panel in particular where it's just the three of them, and it seems
Yeah.
like she has pulled both of them close to her in the way that like a person of her age like
Yeah.
does, and like her face and her smile. It's so warm,
Yeah.
and it really creates such a nice tableau. The three of them, and it's such a great way to kind of end that party scene, you know? And
Yeah.
we have now met pretty much all of the main characters. There's a few other ones coming along, but yeah, really really lovely.
Thank
One of the
you.
other things I wanted to talk about with this book, it's colored by Peter Patazis. I think I'm not sure if that's how you say
Yeah.
his last name, but
Yeah.
Peter. Th- th- this book is colored, I mean, so well. And it again, it doesn't quite look like a lot of other stuff out on the market, and it
Mhm.
really just adds a whole other level to this storytelling. I loved the way it's colored.
Oh man, Pete is gonna love to hear that because like Pete is like he's the rock star on this book. Honestly, like he blows us away every time he sends in pages, and we wanted a very specific kind of style for this because when Jim wanted me, he was like like let's kind of get back to like your Morning Glory style, which Morning Glories a long time ago. Like I did really thin line, and the colorist that I worked with, Alex Alonso, he did a lot of the cinematography, the lighting and all that stuff. And so I loved that. I mean, that's like some of my favorite art, even though it's like early in my career. Um, but so we were trying to find people that could do that. And I had worked with Pete on a couple Valiant covers, and I sent them in, and I really liked his stuff. And they the whole team agreed, and he
Mhm.
he signed on for the book. And yeah, he does such a great job with just like cinematography, lighting, and shadow and value. It's like he really is so undersung and underrated on this book. Like people need to be like really taking note. And I'm so glad that you picked up on that.
I just
Absolutely.
thought it
Oh, sorry.
has yeah. Sorry, no, I'm
I
sorry.
was
Go
just
ahead, Jim.
I was saying, and he's also having a blast. Like every page he turns in, and he'll say, like, God, I love this book every
Yeah.
once in a while. And we're just like, thank you. So do we, and we love it even more now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the object at, like, the heart of this, the Maltese falcon of it all is this, you call it the nobility diamond, but there's a page in here that is, like, a full page of, like, a close-up of this diamond, and there's some lettering at the top. And World Design does the lettering. I mean, phenomenal job.
Mhm.
Whoever does it
We're
from
the
And
ones.
World, like, there's several different people that work there. They're all incredible. Um but yeah, like just the way in particular the light comes off the diamond, that close up, um, that page is just incredible, and it's something that could just be like a quick flip, like, okay, there's the diamond, like whatever, whatever. But it really is stunning to kind of take a second to it's the focus of that entire page. It really shows like the importance of this thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought it looked and it was colored beautifully.
That's our influences, like those films, those classic films. I mean, think about the way they were shot back then. Like they would do a shot like that and it would be like sparkling and stuff. And like the way it would, the value, even the black and white films, just the way it would, the light would work on that. Like that was foremost in my mind when I was, working on that. And I'm so glad that Pete just nailed it on that one.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
really great.
Yeah, and Joe nailed the design of it. I mean, it's supposed to be like basically the most expensive diamond in the world. There was a line that we had in there, uh, that like told the kind of old history of it. Like it had been handed down from generation to generation, and it like disappeared in the invasion of Normandy in 1066 and all this stuff. Just
Yeah,
and that was a little wordy, so we cut that word balloon out. But it's this like it's the centerpiece, and it is our
Mhm.
Maltese Falcon. You know, it, it's it's a little bit. Oh, I mean, it's the central mystery to it
yeah,
all.
right.
But really, at
Yeah,
the end of the day, this is a book about relationships, also. So that's why Henry and Ethan and everybody, I just love that how much personality that Joe has put into each one and each person, and that each have their own reactions to stuff. Henry doesn't react the same way as Ethan, like facially or anything. So yeah, there's a panel
yeah.
that was just silent that has a reaction shot from Ethan. He's just going, and I love it. It seems so Myrna Loyish.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, I don't know if we're gonna see any something more about the characters. I don't know if we're gonna see any like flashbacks in this series, but I would read a comic that is just how Henry and Ethan met, you know?
Well,
So
at issue
Exactly.
0, there you can do that. If you go on
Oh,
ignitionpress.com, there is an issue 0 to this, called The Cold Open, and it is their meet cute of how they met and fell in love, and there's a case in there as well. It's a
okay,
12
yeah.
page it's a 12-page cold open, to them, and you can find it on ignitionpress.com, uh, and you can get it there.
Yep.
And it's
I'll
it's
make sure to
very
put
limited too.
a link in the show notes for listeners so they can go and
Excellent.
uh
Mhm.
and pick that up. Yeah. Um so yeah, that's really cool. I did see that. I was trying to do that to set you up, Jim. So
Well, it
you took
worked. I took the bait.
it worked. We got it. You took the bait. We got it. Yeah, the cold open. It's on you can get it from Ignition Press. I'll have a link in the show notes. And yeah, it's just really a lot of fun. Jim, I wanted to ask you, and you mentioned this earlier. You said you're being an out and proud, member of the community. Have
Mhm.
this gay couple front and center in this. It do you feel that this is something you could have written like earlier in your career?
You know, I don't think so. I think I needed to mature quite a bit, and also, I'm married. I'm married now, very happily married. Um, and he is my husband's from Scotland, so he can be a little bit Ethany sometimes. Uh, my dog is saying what? But no, he can be a bit Ethany sometimes. Um, uh, with his Britishness, UKness, Scottishness, whatever, however you want to say it. But I also
Yeah.
needed kind of the maturity, I think, in a relationship, having gone through relationships and find that like stability and maturity so that it's not just me copying how people in the 30s and 40s films would talk. There's a lot of like I'm in it in there as well. So it is the most authentic thing that I've written. so far because it comes from a lot of experience. Um, you were saying a little bit before we started recording that you liked their relationship and just how breezy kind of it is, or I've heard it described as breezy.
Yeah.
There is conflict that will come up, and that was actually because I love them so much as a couple. In their breezy repartee, to write a fight between them was kind of difficult, actually, um, and I was just like, "Oh, I love them. I don't like to see them fight. They're like my kids." Um, and then but then, Joe just Joe sells it so well. You'll see it. And then, he's doing the, Fallout conversation, now-ish in the drawing process, and we're seeing that, and I'm like, "Oh, thank God they're back together." Well, they didn't break up. I'm just meaning they're back in that repartee,
Right.
so
Yeah, well, I can't wait to get to that. I feel like we saw, a little bit of it because they're, the solicit I think talks about them being, mismatched, and we see that in terms of where Ethan's from. I mean, we don't know a whole lot about Henry yet in the first issue, but we see, the type of job that he's had as a PI, and we meet some other folks, some other colorful characters that Joe crushes the look of them as well. Some less than savory individuals that Henry knows. But I when they're in their apartment, their brownstone, and they're having just moved in, and talking about how they like things differently. I was like, well, they're being very sweet still, but I give it 10 years. And
well, let's
give it
do a 10-year run on this. How's that
Yeah.
sound?
yeah, I'll read it. I'll keep it on the pull list, Jim.
I'll keep writing it, and Joe will keep drawing it, I
Oh,
feel
yeah,
like.
for sure.
Um, yeah, I can't wait to see, to see where it goes. I really had such a good time with it. Um,
Thank you. Issue 2, you'll get to see more of that, like, opposite worlds, when we really get a chance to see, them switching places, and they can't just say, "Okay, let's do it." We gotta show that. And so there's there's 2 great almost fashion shows that Joe gets to draw, one of Ethan in Henry wear and one of Henry and Ethan wear. And, oh my god, that was so much fun to write and so much fun to see.
Oh, yeah. I
So
love that stuff. It was great.
yeah. In terms of some of the more, I mean, not that there are some lighter elements of the story, some comedic elements, and I think certainly an audience's sensibilities have changed over time. I mean, some types of comedy are timeless. Some things will always make people laugh. But when you look at some of those films, and maybe not the really dark ones, but there are some comedy elements to to those films. It What are your influences, or what was it like trying to not just take that type of story and modernize it, but also kind of keep the humor of those situations, like, fresh for today's
yeah.
readers?
Um, I I looked to the classic films that we referenced earlier, and then I also, looked to Gilmore Girls, because I love Gilmore Girls, and they have that sharp repartee, and they reference classic film all the time.
I don't mean
Um,
to interrupt, Jim, but,
no, go
like, w Gilmore Girls came up in my last podcast with Joe, so
ahead.
that's
Well,
Would
they're
love Gilmore
there.
Girls. It's a
Gotta
great
love
show.
them.
Yeah.
It
I'm sorry,
is.
but
Yeah.
go ahead, Jim.
And
Continue, please.
also kind of the, like, especially during, like, the school scenes and the non-fighting scenes of Buffy, like, when they're just interacting, with the Scoobies, or all just interacting, that
Yeah.
that was a big influence on it. And I know a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people that can infuse humor in it, in comics in a seamless way, um, that I really love. And I think some of those people, you know, I worked at Marvel before, like years and years ago, and it was during, like the Civil War, and Secret Invasion, House of M era. And so,
Yeah.
I really look at Bendis's work, Brubaker's work, Fractions, Hickman's, um, Mark Millar's, and I think that they all do a really good job of infusing full characters, and sort of a lot. Hell, everybody's doing such a great job in comics these days. Also, I mean, I think this is a great time. This has been a great era for comics.
Oh
And
yeah,
to be able to be a
I
part of
agree.
it is just, fantastic.
100%.
I agree. It's awesome. Joe, something I wanted to ask you about, which kind of ties
Sure.
into the lighter, more like comedic elements of it sometimes, which
Mhm.
is facial expressions certainly. But I took an acting class in college, and we had to pick a scene and do the scene, and then the class talked about it, right? And
Mhm.
one of the things the 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 professor in the class um, complimented me on it, which was something I didn't even. It wasn't something I did like consciously. It just happened from doing the scene. But he commented on my posture, and as he thought that was like a big part of like the character, and it was showing emotion, and it wasn't anything I thought about. One, I have terrible posture, and two, it just like I was just really trying to
This is
emote
bugging me.
more
It's
so
about
than anything. But like, how do you approach that and think about that in terms of, like, the posture of your characters? Um, because especially there are things not just with facial expressions, but also how they're standing that really, I think work much better with those lighter panels. So how do you approach that? What do you think about that?
That is such a great question, and that is always foremost on my mind when I'm doing a character design. Is like, when I get if I get just a little blurb from the writer, like, that's fine. But like so much, and I also I'm also a part-time adjunct professor, and I have them my students just finished the assignment where they did character designs, and the thing I tell them all the time is like your character's posture will say so much about their personality, the way they carry themselves, the way they hold themselves. Like, you don't think about it. It's like you said, it was unconscious for you. You didn't consciously do it, but like it informs so much about a person, just the way they carry themselves. So yeah, like each one of them, the characters in our book, like I know how they hold themselves. I know the way they're gonna, stand or the way they're gonna sit. And, Ethan's gonna be a little bit more tense in his kind of posture. And Henry's gonna be a little bit more, slack. He's just, whatever, kind of deal. So like that's like such an underrated aspect of comic book storytelling that um some artists, like, I really wish they would put more into that, because, like, then if you don't do that, then it's kinda monotonous, everybody's, doing the same pose or whatever. Not shaming, not naming any names, but, um, but yeah, like, if you just take the time to sit there and, like, because yeah, facial expressions are great, I love them, but yeah, posture is so underrated, and I do put a lot of thought into that. So yeah, I mean, like, that it always goes off the vibe of the script. If Jim's writing them fighting, I kind of know the way they're gonna hold themselves while they're fighting, not like fist fighting, just like arguing. We haven't gotten to that
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
scene yet, but
No, we haven't gotten to fist fighting yet.
but
Yeah, I was thinking it happened.
yeah, I know. But,
Yeah.
yeah, so, like, you have to know that, inside and out for whatever context, whatever sequence they're in. If they're, like, trying to, like, stake out a scene or whatever, and they're trying to be sneaky, how are they gonna carry themselves? It's it's really drawing is also it is skill, it is rendering, but it's also critical thinking too.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of acting. Joe's work has a lot of acting in it as well. And the big part of acting is reacting. And there's the posture when they're talking is one thing, but also when they're reacting to something. Like, I'm thinking of a page today that Joe turned in, and Ethan just has this like almost like thing. He doesn't say anything, but he says so much with just this change of how you see him. You're like, oh, you can tell that he's just so like frustrated and doesn't know what to do and is exhausted. And it all came through in that panel. And he does it very well. And like in issue 1, when we meet his parents, there's definitely, you see where he comes from. And then you also see Henry's reaction and how he's far more abrasive than what they would be used to. And so those reactionary postures convey so much as well, which Joe does such a great job of.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I notice these things.
Aw.
There's I always, look at or I think there's certain panels that just I am attracted to, or that I think just like capture my, I don't know if it's imagination, or there's just something that certain comic books, certain things I stand out to me that maybe don't, not that I have like a special eye or anything, but I just like to call attention to them because there's some things that just seem like they're just another stepping stone of the story, but there's so many like wonderful things in them. In particular, in this, like later on in this issue, we meet a character named Alice, and she comes to their house, um, and so she's standing there, and it's just another great little scene where Henry is out in front and like foot forward. And again, like with Henry's posture, he almost seems like a tiny bit defensive, even though it's a friend of his. Cause yeah, but Ethan is like wearing a robe, and he's got like almost both hands like clutching the robe together. I think the cat's in it as well, because Henry and Ethan have a cat. Yeah,
Skippy.
I just love, yeah. I just love that little moment. I really it just really caught my eye, and I just like, oh, that's really nice. And then
Thank
then
you.
it gets into like the rest of the story from there, and it's just all it's very fun. It's very well done.
Thank
Yeah, and
you.
I really fell in love with Henry and Ethan. I feel like it's just like a perfect kind of thing for right now. It really, I felt good after reading it.
Yay.
I want to
And we need
very
more things like that. We need more things like that where you feel
agree.
good right now about something.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, you know? Um, and I just really, really enjoyed it. Like, it just felt like, again, it felt like something out of another time, but it also feels modern. And the entire team, and World, Peter, the two of you, you just, and I think you really found something special with Ignition Press, especially after reading what editor in chief Jamie S. Rich wrote in the back of of issue 1, and he's a fan of all these things as well. Um, yeah, it
Yeah.
really is a tremendous accomplishment, and
Oh,
I can't wait to see where it goes. So
Oh,
oh.
thank you. We're excited to take you on that ride.
yeah, so
I just
I
finished issue 5 script and I want to go on another ride with them.
well, I hope you do. I hope there's more. But listeners, one way we can make sure there's more is if you go and get the other half from Ignition Press. You can also go and get that limited issue 0, the cold open. Um, this first issue, chapter 1, is Dinner and a Diamond. Um, that is out now. I'll put links in the show notes so you can get it. And issue 2 will be out April 22nd. It's going to be, I think, a 5. You said you just finished the script for 5, so it's a 5 issue run for this
Yep.
first arc, hopefully first of many. Um, yeah, and I'll put links to you can follow Jim and Joe on social media and check out their other stuff that they've done, which there's plenty to choose from. But yeah, I love this. I loved it so much.
So glad.
We got to thank
Thought it was
Ignition
great.
Press also because them letting us tell the story and just they've been so great. They're really about creator forward, creator first, and that enables us, I think, to be our true selves. And also the product itself, the cover stock, the paper stock, just really feels like you're reading a comic
Yeah.
that you're getting a money's worth. But also, and our editorial team, Maggie and Nora are superstars behind the scenes as well. So, but thank you so much for loving the book.
Yeah, I mean, well, if they put this on the YouTube, I mean, sorry, podcast listeners, you can't see this, but I do have a copy of issue 1 because when I first saw Joe post about it, I added it to my pull list because I'm a Joe Eisma super fan.
Oh, thank you,
I'm a
Jim.
Super Joe super fan.
I'm a super stan of Super Joe.
But so thank you both so much. Shout out to my brother Bobby. I do this every episode. Bobby's the Cryptid Creator Corner's #1 most dedicated fan. Bobby listens to all my episodes. I really appreciate it, Bob. And yeah, listeners, thank you so much for listening. Go get the other half from Ignition Press. And if you get it, let me know what you thought of it. I really think you're going to love it. And yeah, thank you to Jim McCann and Joe Eisma. This
Thank
has been
you.
wonderful.
Thank you,
Thank
Jim.
you for listening, listeners. Rate and review us. Do all those things they tell you to do. It really helps. Good night, and I will see you next time.
Ben?